Hi guys, it's Katie. Today I'm going to do a dinner vlog. I'm making burrito bowl. I already have this recipe on my channel. It's an old video and I've kind of changed a little bit how I do it. I'm also going to try doing beef this time. I usually do chicken just because it's really quick and easy, but I had a little bit of beef, like an open package that I thought I would go ahead and use up. So I'll show you what I have on my counter so far. Punch it down a little bit. So I've been trying to soak and sprout my beans and my rice. I didn't do these far enough ahead of time to actually sprout them, but they've been soaking here for probably about 24 hours now, maybe a little bit more. And I changed the water a couple times. What I like, I've been soaking my beans and things like that in these mason jars, and I find it really easy because they have the marks on the side. So these are quart jars, so they have 1 cup, 2 cups, 3 cups, and then to the top is 4 cups. So I can just fill it up to 1 cup, and I don't even have to find a measuring cup. I just pour it to the 1 cup measuring and then fill it up. So the same thing with the beans. I did 1 cup of beans, which have expanded quite a bit more, and 1 cup of the rice. So this is brown rice. You can use whatever rice that you want. I also have some cashews. I didn't do these. I just did these recently. Whoops. So these have been soaking for probably about an hour. These are going to be for the cashew sour cream, which is amazing. And then here in the sink down there, that's also soaking, or it appears to be soaking. It's chunks of chuck roast that I was going to use for stew beef, and it's still frozen, so I have it in cold water, kind of thawing here. I'm going to use my pressure cooker, so if it ends up not being perfectly thawed, it'll be okay. I'd like to get it thawed so I can get a good brown on it. That will help with the flavor. But it can just sit there and thaw because I'm going to use my pressure cooker for the beans first. I'll put my pressure cooker up here, and I'm going to strain and rinse the beans. I've been making seasoned black beans a little bit differently. I used to just cook beans with salt and then try to add seasonings later, and it doesn't seem to work as well. So what I've been doing lately is pressure cooking them with the sort of Tex-Mex spices, and it just makes them so much better. They really pick up the flavor all throughout the beans. So I'm just going to rinse these in the pressure cooker. Then I'll make sure I get plenty of water. And then I'll go ahead and throw the seasonings in from the beginning. Now these are soaked and they're black beans, so they're small. They won't take forever to cook. I usually pressure cook them for 10 minutes once they come up to pressure. I usually check them, and sometimes I have to cook them more, so I think it just depends on how long they soaked and how old they were when I bought them from the grocery store. But I'm going to go ahead and throw in what I want to throw in. I'm going to put some garlic. I use this stuff. Don't tell anybody. But I'm going to put a tablespoon in. I think that's, what's it say? Half a teaspoon is a clove or something. Yeah, half a teaspoon is a clove. So a tablespoon would be 6 cloves. It's a lot of beans. Well, not a lot, but it's a good amount of beans, and you know how beans are kind of bland. So 6 cloves of garlic. I'm going to add a good amount of salt. It's probably about a tablespoon. And I always salt my beans when I cook them. And when people say it makes their skins tough, it drives me crazy because it just doesn't. I don't know. For me, it never has. All you end up with is bland beans. So I got garlic. I got salt. I need to go out front and pick some oregano. So I got some oregano. I'm going to use some of this for the beans and some of it for the meat. I'm just going to pull some of the leaves off. Sometimes when I'm in a rush, I just throw the whole thing in and then fish it out later, or don't fish it out and let the people eating fish it out. But I have a little bit of time, so I'll go ahead and pull the leaves off. So I don't know, that's probably a tablespoon of fresh oregano. So if you're using dried, I would use maybe half a tablespoon or a couple teaspoons. You just want to make sure that the water that you're cooking your beans in is very well seasoned. because a lot of the water is going to get washed away when you drain the beans. So you want to make sure you're getting lots of flavor in that cooking liquid. I'm going to add some cumin. Again, probably about a tablespoon. And I'm going to use onion powder because I don't have an onion. I don't know how somebody who cooks from scratch doesn't have an onion, but I didn't buy any onions because I had a bag of onions, but when I went to look at them, they were all like slimy and growing. And I can handle if they're growing, but they were kind of slimy too, so they went in the compost, and I've been sort of without onions. Here's a tip. If you have oregano from your garden or wherever, and you compost, don't throw your oregano or mint scraps in your compost because it can become invasive. So I always throw this in the trash. So just give this a stir. If I had a bay leaf, I would add that too. And again, if I had an onion, I would chop up an onion and put in there, but I had to use onion powder. I'll go ahead and get that started. Turn it on high until it starts to get up to pressure, and then I'll back it down a little bit. Alright, so while that cooks, I'll go ahead and get my rice going. And the rice is really simple. Actually, I think the last couple times I've made the burrito bowl, I've used white rice. But I do like the brown rice, and basically you can take any rice, you just cook it however you normally cook it, and then you just add lime and cilantro to your rice. And a little bit of salt, but basically you can use any kind of rice that you want. Alright, so this rice has been soaking, like I said, for about 24 hours. So it won't need the full amount of water. I don't exactly know how much water it will need since it's only soaked for 24 hours. The last time I did this, I used sprouted rice. So it soaked for 24 hours and then it continued to sprout for about 2 days until it started to germinate. And that ended up taking about, I would say about 1.5 cups when I normally do 2. So it was about a half cup shy. So I think I might just do that again, and then if I need to add water, if it doesn't seem like it's becoming tender, I can add more, just because it's not fully soaked, or sprouted I should say. Alright, so we'll do that, go ahead and throw that on. Since brown rice takes a little bit of time, I'll go ahead and put that on the front burner. I'll get a lid for that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and make the sauce for the beef. I'm gonna use a recipe I found on YouTube. It's, if you put barbacoa in the search bar, it's the first one that comes up. I'll link it down below, but it seemed really simple. It's mostly chipotle and adobo, which I have in the freezer. So they come in little cans, and I don't know, they probably have like 7, 8 something peppers in them, and I usually use one at a time. So I just put them in a baggie and keep them in the freezer, and you can see how easily it breaks up. So you can just pull out a little bit when you need it. And I think I'm going to add some dried chilies too, because I've been really enjoying cooking with dried chilies. Alright, so I have these guajillo chilies, and look what I found inside this jar. This is my last bay leaf. I had a bay plant. It's been dead for 2 years, and I still have all these bay leaves from it. So this is the last bay leaf. So before this comes up to pressure, I'll go ahead and throw this in with the beans. I want to get a new bay plant. That's my task for the springtime. There's this really nice nursery where I got the last bay plant from that I want to visit. It's a little bit out of the way, but I love it. So I'm going to go there and get a new bay plant. What I'm going to do, these are guajillo chilies. I love them. They smell so good. They smell like chili powder. Like, I don't exactly know what chili is in chili powder, like the predominant chili, but it smells like this, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was guajillo. So I just pull the stem off and then sort of open it up, so tear it down. And the pepper feels kind of leathery. There's the big cluster of seeds. I'll try to get that in the compost instead of all over the floor. Try to knock most of the seeds out. But when you buy the peppers, they feel kind of leathery, and it's best if you can toast them and turn them kind of brittle. So I try to do that in my toaster oven, and I always end up burning them or something. But I'll go ahead and try. Gotta make them kind of flat, because if any piece is sticking up, since they're so thin, they will burn really quickly. So and pull that membrane out of there. So seeds and membrane out, so you just have the flesh. I'm going to do my best to toast this without burning it. So there's the chili. It's starting to smoke and smell burnt, but there's parts that aren't toasted, so I just do the best I can. It's supposed to get darker too. So here it's darker, there it's still lighter. Don't mind my disgusting toaster. Alright, so we'll take this back over here and stick it there, just so it can cool off. Ah! Cool off just a second. Take two, and stick it right there. Alright. Now, I'm going to put this back on the tripod because that's dangerous, cooking one-handed. I got some boiling water. My pressure cooker came up to pressure, that's what that hissing sound is. So, once it's toasted, it becomes brittle, so it's less leathery and more like crumbly. So I'm just going to crumble it up a little bit so it fits in this container. And pour over some boiling water. And let that sort of rehydrate a little bit. So, I'm going to go ahead and make the sauce for the beef, the barbacoa. And I kind of sort of watched a video on YouTube, but I'm just going to wing it. What could go wrong? Add a bunch of Mexican Tex-Mex flavors to some beef and cook it till it falls apart. Sounds good to me. I gotta find my blender pitcher. Alright, here we go. Now, I haven't used dried chilies like all my life, and nobody really taught me this. I think I saw it in one recipe, then I kind of ran with it because I love the flavor. But I think this soaking liquid is supposed to be discarded. But that looks so, like, look at that color. It has so much flavor. So, is there a reason why I need to discard it? Because I like using it. So maybe somebody knows better than me. I am going to put the oregano in there. And these are actually, I mean, these are really tender since they're fresh spring growth. So I'm not really worrying too much about getting all of the stems out. The Vitamix will take care of it. What else am I going to put in here? Oh, the recipe called for apple cider vinegar. That seemed essential. There we go. Go ahead and put the chipotle and adobos in. So, probably like 2 peppers maybe, and then some of the sauce. The sauce is really flavorful too. Here goes in the vinegar. That seems right. Salt. And pepper. I think the recipe called for cloves too. I don't think I'm going to add that. And I'm going to use cumin seeds. Since they're going to get blended up. Some more garlic. Probably like 4 cloves. Alright, I just checked the recipe. It didn't seem like there was anything essential that I left out. So I'll go ahead and blend this. That looks pretty good. I love that color. And I think I'm going to strain this. Well, first I'm going to let that drip off the lid. I got this cute little strainer on Amazon for my kombucha, so I'm just going to go ahead and use that. And pour this, I guess I'll just pour it in this measuring cup. That'll be convenient, then I can see how much of this sauce it makes. Even though I kind of just eyeballed all the ingredients. So who cares how much sauce it makes? I just have a little bit of beef, so it's not like I need a ton of sauce. But I want to use the pressure cooker, so it needs to be enough liquid for the pressure cooker. The reason why I'm using this beef is because I have this partial package And this recipe is really good for stretching meat. You could actually make it without meat. It's a really great like filling dish. There's the rice and the beans, and you put all sorts of veggies, and you can put, you know, whatever toppings you want, avocado and different veggie toppings like lettuce, and I like to put red bell pepper, and my husband puts cheese on his, so we're going to make the cashew cream. It would be plenty satisfying without too much meat or any meat at all. So, continue to strain this. Alright, so that's how much I got. Pretty much exactly 1 cup. Which I think that'll be plenty. I think my pressure cooker says it needs to be 2/3 of a cup. Maybe it's just 1/3. It's a really small amount. But my meat seems pretty thawed, so I'll go ahead and get these beans out. We'll check on them, see if they're done, and then we'll use the pressure cooker to do the meat. So here's how you do the quick release. You just go, ooh. Here's the really loud one. Alright, so now you open it up and you look at your beans. And the black beans always make the water turn so dark that you can't even see the beans. There we go. But a trick to know if your beans are cooked enough, I don't know where I learned this trick, but it's pretty awesome. If you, let's zoom in. If you blow on them and the skins kind of peel back, that means they're done. So let's see. You can see the beans? They're actually already cooling enough that you can see it's a little split there, right there on that bean. Can you see that? And when you blow on it, the skins peel back. It's just like the pressure difference causes them to peel back. That means that they're cooked enough. And they look good. They're nice and plump. They're not, the skins aren't wrinkly or anything like that. So, I'm going to go ahead and drain these. I would leave them in the hot liquid, but I need the pressure cooker. I guess I could put them in another container in the hot liquid, but that's alright. I can always just rewarm them right before we eat. Alright, so I did the old rinsey poo. I didn't really wash it because it's pretty much all the same flavors going in there. And actually, the bay leaf is clinging to the inside. Whatever, I'll reuse that. Why not? So, let me take that out for now. I'm going to try to get a brown on the beef. So I'll turn that on. These beef cubes are kind of wet, so we'll see how good they brown. Go ahead and throw that in there. There are my delicious beans. I'm going to stick them in the microwave just so they stay somewhat warm. I need to put a little bit of oil in this pan so the meat fries. A little bit of coconut oil. Right now it's just cooking off all that liquid. So it's getting brown all over, nice dark brown, nice fond on the pan. And the meat's not cooked all the way through by any means. I'm just searing it to get some flavor. And I'll go ahead and throw that bay leaf back in and throw this sauce in. I also think I'm going to throw just a little splash of water, help rinse this out, and just to make sure there's enough liquid in there. I'm going to spread the meat out in a single layer. These are mostly bite-sized pieces because this was supposed to be stew beef. There's a few pieces in here that seem suspiciously large, so it should be alright. And stir up some of that fond. As it cooks, it'll come up anyway, but if there's a piece of meat stuck to the bottom, it could continue to burn, and since we're not going to be stirring this while it pressure cooks, I just want to make sure that if there's an actual piece of meat, it comes up. If it's just the browning part, that's fine, but that looks good. It smells good already. Just position everything in a single layer so it gets as much contact with that braising liquid as possible. Close it back up, and I'm going to pressure cook this. I don't know how long. I guess until I need it. So the rice is cooking. Actually just checked on the rice. It's kind of just soaking up the last bit of the water there. Have it on low. Let me see. Yeah, this is nearly done. Almost tender. I'll put the lid back on that while it soaks up the last bit of that water. I got the beans done. So now I just need to, I guess, cut up the raw veggies. Oh, and I need to make my cashew. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and make the cashew cream, or the cashew sour cream, so it gives a chance to chill. The last couple times I made it right before, and it's good, but it's better if it's chilled. And blending it up in the blender kind of warms it up, so getting it a chance to chill just really ups that cool, creamy, sour cream feel. So I'm going to drain and rinse those cashews. So it's a cup of cashews that have been soaked and about a 1/4 cup of water. I usually end up adding a little bit more just to get it going. So go ahead and put a 1/4 cup of water. Some lemon juice. It was just a little bit too tangy with the 2 tablespoons. So here's one of the vinegar. I'll go ahead and put a few grains of salt in. Start on low and blend it on high until it's smooth and creamy. I did have to add a little bit more water. I think if you had a regular Vitamix container that's a little more narrow at the bottom, it would probably blend a little easier, or if you had like the 32-ounce container. I was having a little trouble, but because it's a small amount that you're making. So that's what it ends up like. Mine's a little bit runnier, but that's alright. Also, my cashews didn't soak very long. They only soaked for like 1.5 hours. So it's got a little bit more little grittiness. Not really grittiness, you know, little bits and nuts. So what I'm going to do is strain it again with my cute little strainer wherever I put it. There it is. That way if there's anything really big, it'll catch. So maybe if you don't have a high-powered blender, you could try that and get a nice smooth product without having a really powerful blender. Alright, let's see if I can press this through. Oh yeah, it looks a lot nicer on the other side. Or you could just soak your cashews for as long as the recipe calls for. There you go. Can you see what I'm doing? Anyway. It's still pretty thick. It's just not super thick. I'm very curious. I know you can take like coconut cream and add probiotics to it and make like a coconut yogurt. I'm curious if you added a little probiotics to this, if it would thicken it up and really make it gel. Yeah, you can see quite a bit of pulp left behind from my inadequately soaked cashews, so go ahead and strain the rest of this through too. Alright, so that's what's left. Is it going to focus? Show you the greedy part. So, pretty nice. Turned out a little bit better than I thought. If I would have known that, I wouldn't have added so much extra water. That's what it looks like. A white dip in a white bowl. Can you see it? Alright, I'm going to put this in the fridge. Alright, so now I'm just going to cut up some raw veggie toppings. So I'll get a little plate to put them on. And I need a cutting board. So I'm going to do some shredded lettuce. I have some cilantro. I'm going to do some red bell pepper. And I think I'm going to go out in the garden and get some green onions. So this is just leaf lettuce. sliced up nice and thin. So I'll just put this on the table and they can sort of dress up their burrito bowl themselves. Well, my husband will. My little one will probably have hers done by me. I turned the stove off, so, oh, I haven't done it yet. I'm doing it now. The beef should come down in pressure and then I can check on it. That should be enough lettuce. Let's do some red bell pepper. I feel like my cutting board is sitting on a piece of something. Seed stuck to it. It's like feeling a little bit unstable. Alright. Hopefully I don't cut my finger off. Alright. That should be enough of that. It's mostly just for a little color and bright freshness. And then I'll do the cilantro. I'll put some in the rice and some as a topping. So, let's see. Look at that. Cilantro was bolting. That stalk comes up out of the middle. We'll just put that in the compost. Probably has lots of flavor, it's just maybe a little bit tough. Chop this up, and the rice has been done for a little while. It's just been sitting over there sort of cooling off. Once you get all this stuff mixed up with the lettuce, it kind of cools off anyway. It's not so hot. You can keep the meat hot, but the other things are it's more like a room temperature dish. So I usually wait till the rice cools down before I add the cilantro, or else it kind of cooks and it'll turn sort of brownish. So if you put it in sort of room temperature rice, then it'll stay nice and green and have that bright freshness. Let's do a little bit of cilantro for the rice. Pressure just came down on the pressure cooker. So we can peek in on that. Take this over to the rice. And throw that in there. A little piece of red pepper went in there too, from the cutting board. That's alright. So let's have a look-see at this beef. Ooh. What it looks like. So I'm going to see if I can get it to shred up a little bit with some forks. Little small pieces, so. Yeah, it's coming apart nicely. And the sauce is thickened up. It's not too runny, so I think that'll be good. Just kind of stir it back in. Alright, that's what it looks like. You see that? Should be enough for a few burrito bowls. Haven't tasted it yet. It's still really hot. Woo! I've already done that once today. But it's nice and tender and shreddy, and it looks like the sauce is really yummy. I'm going to go ahead and taste it, make sure it doesn't need salt or something. I don't want to get too much because I want to save it for dinner, but let me get a nice piece. Mmm. It's really good. I think that's everything. I think we're ready to eat. We just need to put some, here's the rice. I'm going to squeeze some lime into this and stir that up. And I think we're ready. Alright, so we have the cilantro lime rice, the barbacoa, the seasoned black beans, all the yummy toppings, sour cream, dirty sink. Let's go ahead and make one of these up. Alright, that is dinner tonight. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave any comments down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!